What's going on, people? Welcome to the United Stand. It is your Tuesday, 8 p.m. slot. It's not Tuesday. It's Monday, and it should be actually. This is it's weird because this is actually the Sunday show, but it's on Monday. We were too busy giving Pep his ass handed to him by Ollie. We were too busy doing that, so we couldn't do this show yesterday. So it is Monday night. It is Kev's still giving it that oasis. We're joined by Mark. We're joined by Tony Marshall's mug and Rick, and we've got Beth and Kev as well. And I think I'm a newbie to this show. I suppose I don't know. Let's loads to talk about today. Loads coming out about Haaland again. And also Cavani out as well. Cavani out, Haaland in. That is the headline of the show. We're going to talk about what that looks like. Is it possible? Should we be blowing near enough all our transfer budget on Erling Haaland? What would that look like? And Cavani leaving as well. If there's talks of him going to Boca Juniors. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And if he does leave, it's going to leave that void that we all know is going to be there. And Rick's beloved Marshall will be the only number 9, and he's going to need some competition to give him the kick up the arse. Dan James has come into good form in the last month or so. We're going to get our teeth into that. Rick's Van Cam, he did say to me that, listen, he should be playing instead of Mason Greenwood on any day, let alone at this time. So we're going to get into that and a bunch of other stuff as well. So let's get straight into it. Cavani in, Haaland out. Kev, I'll start with you. I mean, are you trying to see that? Is it a risk if we put all our eggs in one basket on Haaland, if he becomes available, 100+ million, considering what we need?
I think personally, he would be one of the final pieces of the jigsaw at Manchester United. I look at him in the same mould as what Ruud van Nistelrooy was when we brought him into Manchester United. Ultimate goal machine. I don't think United can afford to miss out on Haaland. If there is any chance, and Solskjaer's worked with him before, if he can sell Manchester United to him, get him into Manchester United, that lad will score goals. But again, the flip side of it is, do we create enough chances to have this supreme number 9, at the top of the pyramid at Manchester United? Rashford's bang out of form. You're not going to get any service from him. But listen, what an exciting player. You want a player like that in your team. He could be at Manchester United for the next 10, 12, 13 years or whatever.
Not with Riola as his agent.
With Riola, that's what I was going to say. With Riola as the agent, it might.
Well, that was going to be my next point.
We've spoilt it.
I'm sure there'll be some sell-on clause anyway. So, hey, listen, we're getting for a season and win the league. That'll do for
me. Before we come to Mark, remember this is brought to you by United Stand Picks. The link is in the video description below. Make sure you guys check it out. We got a massive game against AC Milan, so you can get your chance to win your share of £1,000 as well. We're doing it for every single Man United game for the rest of this season as it stands. Make sure you guys have a look at that. It's great fun. Make sure you guys get involved. Smash a like on the video as well and subscribe if you are new. Mark, what are you saying about this? Because I know the reports were, this is kind of quote from the reports, that Manchester United are looking to sell him the dream / the prospect, like a Cantona thing, of returning Manchester United back to greatness as opposed to money. And there was other reports saying that Haaland's next move isn't going to be based on money. It's going to be based on the project. So Ed Woodward, do you trust him to sell the project to Erling Haaland? And should we be looking to do that with what we need in this summer transfer window?
I said this afternoon, Ed Woodward, he couldn't sell milk to a cat. So that doesn't fill me with any confidence at all that we're going to try and sell him a dream. I agree with what Kev says that I don't understand why Haaland would want to come to Manchester United, because we don't create chances for a number 9, and a striker is only as good as the service that they get, unless you're someone like Messi or Ronaldo in your prime where you make it out yourself. But I will be controversial and say that Cavani's got to go. I think Cavani needs to go. So we do need to bring a striker in, but I wouldn't want to blow the budget on Haaland because we need to build from the back. We need a proper centre-back partnership. We need a proper centre defensive midfielder, because Fred and McTominay, I thought, were actually not very good, to say that in a Manchester derby yesterday. I thought the passing was diabolical. So, yeah, I'd like Haaland, but as I said this morning, it's an icing on a cake, and we've got to build the cake first. But I would get rid of Cavani. I know that's going to be unpopular.
Why? Why do you think he needs to go?
Injury prone.
Injuries?
He's injury prone. 3 injuries. He's not played against Man City, and that's it now. 2 separate games over 3 months. He's been injured for both. He's been injured 3 times. I like Cavani, but do you want a player that you can't trust, that on a Saturday night you're finding out he's not part of the team because he's done another injury? This is just he's a Harrods Phil Jones. Like, he's a good Phil Jones, but he's injury prone, and we probably do need. Well, look, Martial's been really worrying this year. I'm a big fan of his, as I know Ricky is, but he's been really worrying, and we do need a striker we can trust.
Angie S says, why go for Haaland when you got Martial? Why go for a winger when you have Dan James? Ricky, director of football. Maybe I don't need to come to Ricky next. I think that's what he's going to say, Rick. Maybe we don't need to come to you. And Mark Doobie says, if Martial's competition like Haaland, that's him finished. He fell apart when a 34-year-old came in to finish his career here. A centre-back, a CDM, right wing first, though. Ricky, that brings it on to you. Basically saying that Martial is not up for the fight of having to battle for his position at Man United. And I know you think he's not been doing anything different, like how he's been playing in that Manchester derby. I know you said to me, make no mistake, Flex, he's not doing anything different. It's just that he was more involved. How do you see this chase for Haaland? Should Cavani go? Basically on what Mark and Kev have just said. How do you feel about that?
I'd love us to sign Haaland. I mean, I'm not sure I'd like us to spend every penny we've got and we can't find anybody else. I'm not sure about that. But if we could sign Haaland, a straightforward question, of course I'd like to sign him. What a goal scorer he is. But I will argue that, on the Martial thing, that the fact that he isn't scored. Look, United are we top scorers in the league or second now? Have City overtook us now? But you can only score so many goals. Do you understand what I mean? How many goals do you expect to score? Bruno's got, how many's he got in the league? 15 or something?
15, 16, yeah.
It's got, it's not often you have a team where you've got two players. They probably end up getting 20 odd. You don't often, I'm not sure. You might never have seen a team where they've got three players scoring 20 odd. How many goals do you expect to score? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too sure. I like the way Martial plays. I appreciate the importance of getting hold of the ball and getting us forward. Somehow yesterday, I mean, if you just take that one match singularly, that one match, he's not scored. Everybody's saying he played well. What he actually did yesterday is what I'm saying he's doing all the time. And he's not scoring all the time either. And it happened yesterday, but because we beat City and we won 2-0 and everybody's happy about it, they're getting on like, oh, how great his hold-up play was and how, and all this. That's what he does all the time. That's his strength. But he can score goals. Obviously, he proved that last season. He proved it in his first season. I can't explain why sometimes it doesn't work for a player and sometimes you do. Look, it's not like he's missing dozens and dozens of chances. He is missing some chances, fair enough. But look, Liverpool have proved you can win the league without having a centre-forward who scores loads of goals, haven't they? The two wingers scored all the goals when they won the league. Firmino got about 10. If Martial was playing for Liverpool or City, he'd be on 10. He won't be on 4.
So you think he needs to play in a better team, and if he did leave, then
if you played in a better team that appreciate how he plays and the team are making you just was it Mark that said or was it Kev? Even Haaland would need chances making for it,
which is true.
It's a graveyard shift, isn't it? Number 9 for United is a graveyard shift.
It is. If Haaland was playing for City this season, I mean, even City centre forward this year.
Yeah,
I think Aguero's not been playing, has he? Jesus,
yeah.
I think he's got 6. Don't tell me Martial wouldn't have 6 if he was playing for them.
That's what I was going to say about Haaland, and this is why I think if United want to build for the future and that there's a sniff they can get him, they have to get him. Because yesterday you put Haaland in that Man City team, they ain't losing that 2-0. That is exactly what they're lacking at the minute. And if Man City decide to go out in the summer and bring Haaland in, that completes their team. So it's whether Manchester United are ambitious enough to compete with that.
I think there's 2 problems with that, isn't there? And I let Beth speak. But the 2 problems are, if you're Erling Haaland, Beth, and you can answer this. If you're Erling Haaland, do you go to Man City or Man United? One team that creates shitloads of chances and one that doesn't. And also, Man United, let's be honest, Man United haven't even got the money to buy Haaland. I think this is just paper talk.
Obviously, if I'm Haaland, an unbiased point of view, City does seem to be the better option, doesn't it? Like on paper, but if United, any way that they can, like Kev said, get Haaland, you've got to do it. I mean, look at Harry Kane at Tottenham. I think Cavani has shown glimpses of what we're lacking. A striker who's got aerial ability, can hunt the ball down, is in the box striker, Haaland can hold up the play as well. He's young. We can sell him on for money because, let's be honest, he's one of the up-and-coming generational talents. He's not going to come to United and his career isn't going to fall apart, hopefully, because that does happen to us sometimes. But if there's any chance you can get him, we need squad depth. If you look at our bench against City, we didn't really have much to come off the bench. And I think Martial's a different type of striker to Haaland is. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate Martial. But if Cavani is leaving and he's injury prone, we add Haaland into that team, and I generally think it increases our goal scoring opportunities 10 times. I think Luke Shaw's starting to get crosses into the box. Rashford and Martial are not the most clinical strikers. I know Martial played well yesterday, but he still missed that sitter, and he's been tending to do that quite a lot. Haaland doesn't miss the chances that them two miss, and I do think
only one though, isn't it? I mean, would
it happens time and time again with Rashford and Martial? I don't think they're clinical enough.
But I don't think they get enough chances. And also, would you, all right, you're in charge, anybody but Beth. I'm Ed Woodward. I've actually found some money. I've got £100 million. Haaland's yours, but you're not getting anybody else. Are you going to take it?
Well,
or you can have Declan Rice and a centre-back.
It's a hard decision because
Easy,
Haaland is going to go to another team. And I don't want him to go to another team.
Yeah.
I'd probably take Haaland. I'm going to get a lot of stick for that, but I just think he's a once in a while signing. He's like a Ronaldo Mbappe type signing. That's the kind of signing he is, and I do think he would add so much to our team. Obviously, we need a centre half and a CDM, like completely. But if you go in between a right winger or Haaland, I'm going to pick Haaland. But I don't think United are stupid enough to go into the summer. And well, maybe they are, and blow the whole budget on Haaland and not buy at least either a CDM or a centre half. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely they know they've got to do that. So it's whether they want to do Haaland on top of that and really back Ollie, because you'll win a league title if you buy them three positions. I genuinely think you would.
I don't think they're even looking for a CDM. I don't. And it's not. Crying out for one.
Haven't heard a lot from it, have we? Let's get the super chats out. Noah says, two centre-backs, Varane and Konate, Rice and Rafinha, Haaland next year when the clause kicks in, get Nagelsmann unless Ollie improved, i.e. no favouritism. And Shartak says, if we're willing to spend 100 million plus on a striker, who would play for us for 3 to 4 years? By Kane. Highest number of assists in the league now too. Interesting, the Harry Kane situation. If they don't win anything at Spurs, could Harry Kane be on the market as well? I mean, when Beth's saying you go and get Haaland if he's available, I kind of feel like that about Harry Kane. He's that good, but
age difference. Not
in place. Yeah, the age difference, and not in place of what we really, really need.
Injury prone,
especially
well.
this season.
He's going to cost you near enough as much as Haaland would cost you. In Haaland, you're going to make money back on him because he's so young. Kane is kind of going towards the end of his career, isn't it? But I'd still take him to sign him, don't get me wrong.
He's brilliant, I think. Shurab says, Haaland only if a cheap player swap, play Martial and Mason before a midfield with a CDM first, sell Jesse and one of those goalkeepers for a proper CDM. The next super chat is from Bradley. Bradley says, hey guys from Oz, a centre-back CDM and a right wing are our priorities. I definitely agree with that. But if we get the chance to sign Haaland, we have to take it. So it's agreeing with Beth there. Might not get another sniff at him later down the road. So basically we're saying, so he doesn't go to another team, abort all of our plans and basically just get him. Michael says, if somehow we manage to get Haaland, would we see Martial go on a bad run again, knowing he won't get the number 9 spot? Robbo FM says, I don't get people not thinking Greenwood isn't ready. He was a striker throughout the youth system, then stuck on the right when he got in the first team. And Mark Dewey says, if we buy Haaland now, by the next time we fix our other problems and start creating chances, he will be collecting his first La Liga medal. Alexander says, being Norwegian, I've seen Haaland play a lot and he is on a different level, no doubt. However, we are playing with mid-table centre-backs and midfielders. And I think that it's such a melting pot of opinion, isn't it? Really, but that for me, I do sway more towards that. Like, we have to get the centre backs situation sorted. We've got to get central midfield sorted. If Paul Pogba leaves, that's going to create another problem, which I still think that's going to be needing to be solved. There's reports that he might stay now, but if he does go, that's another problem. Maybe they will keep him more so because they know they can't spend the money again. You know,
Lingard's just won a penalty for West Ham.
Who are they playing tonight?
Leeds.
Jesse's price is going up. It's going up. It's going up.
We've got Jesse to sell to West Ham, which I think it would be a wise decision to sell him at the end of the season. That's money coming in. You've got money from Lukaku. You can bring Dalot back as a backup right back if you're that desperate to not spend money, and then you can buy cheaper alternatives for a centre half.
Missed it, scored it.
Who took it?
Lingard. He missed it, but followed it. He followed it up and scored it. So.
Hey, Lingard against Leeds. We all hate Leeds. Hey, we like that. That's all right.
But no. I just want to say as well. I'll just be different then and say I wouldn't take Haaland under any circumstances over a centre back or a centre defensive midfielder, because I think what would happen is you'd bring Haaland in, and then within 3 months he'd realise what a bloody mistake he's made, having to stand up front getting cold in the winter whilst Fred and McTominay keep hitting the opposition. And then he'd say to Mino, have a word, I fancy going in January, and we'd be stuck with an unhappy Haaland and still with McFred and Magaluf playing at the back. So I think we've got to build a team first.
We'll be all right, Mark. Phil Jones will be back by then.
Yeah, new signing, like a new signing.
Exactly.
Rick, what do you think about? I know, kind of moving away from Haaland, but kind of still in the same conversation, because Mark's basically saying that look, out of everything, we just got to get this centre back, partnership sorted out. Are you in that camp of looking at Lindelof and Maguire and going, nah, this ain't good enough, mate. We need another centre half in there. I know you're not on Bailly, you're not sold. I know that. On Tuanzebe, I know you think he's okay, but you're probably not convinced he's the guy. Do you think we do need to go in big for a centre back?
I don't think I do, no. As much as I criticise Maguire, I think...
Sorry, Kev's catch has just come on the show.
Why do people always do this?
He's had enough. That cat's like, I've had a fucking enough of Ricky. He's full of shit. I'm off to hunt some cat. I'm out to go find some mice. That's it, I'm out. Mic drop, cat drop.
Don't drop the cat, Kev.
No.
Sorry, go on, Rick.
I think it's a bit difficult sometimes when you look. Like, for example, if you start by looking at the table, what are we, 11 points behind City?
Yeah.
How much is there that actually needs fixing? I mean, there's been a couple of horrendous results in there, and we should have done better against the big teams. I actually think we could close that gap without signing a single solitary player.
Just by playing in a different way.
Just by playing in a different way. I'm not saying don't sign any players. All I'm saying is looking at the team and looking at the table and trying to work out what you need to do better is not quite as easy as what some people think, because you're then looking at players from other clubs and thinking, how will he fit? Like you've just mentioned Haaland, for example. I'd sign Haaland without a doubt I would, but will he get the chances that he needs playing for us? I just think we need to play better, and sometimes we do play quite well. I mean, yesterday was a prime example. And we're 11 points behind City. We've lost at home to Sheffield United. We dropped quite a few points to the bottom teams, haven't we? Didn't we?
Yeah.
We drew with West Brom. Just those two. But Palace we drew with. You can't win all your games, although Liverpool showed that you virtually could last year. You know what I mean? So, and also on top of that, we really haven't performed until yesterday against the big teams. I think we could have 10 or 11 more points this season with the squad we've got now. Let's put it that way.
Because they're good enough. Because they're good enough to do it.
Somebody said that to me this morning, and I disagree.
If they can do it, then obviously yes, they're good enough to do it. So picking out the faults and getting it right in the first place is a bigger deal to me than signing a player to try and make it right.
I think the problem is that I disagree. Somebody said to me this morning, "Oh, we're only 10 points off the title. If the ref had been right against Sheffield United and West Brom, we'd have another 6 points." And I said, "Yeah, but if Eric Bailly doesn't make a last-minute block against Villa, we draw. If Rashford doesn't score a last-minute deflected shot against Wolves, we draw. If Cavani doesn't score a last-minute winner at Southampton, we draw. We've actually took a lot of points. I think over 70% or 60% of our wins have been by 1 goal this season. So you can flip it one way or the other. I think the problem with United is that Magaluf and Lindelof, Maguire and Lindelof, individually, I haven't got a problem with them. I don't think they're terrible centre-backs. I just think the partnership makes us play deep, and then they have to get shielded by McFred. And I think if you put a better centre-back next to Lindelof or a better centre-back next to Maguire, they will play a little bit. No, they're never going to be Rio and Vidic, but they could play a little bit higher, and they could say to their midfield, you don't need to babysit us all the time. And then that gets your midfield closer to your attack, and then that makes you more of an attacking side. Yesterday, I thought we played well, but the problem was everyone said we got the goal and then we sat back, and then we got the second goal and we sat back. We didn't. What happens is you can't get up the pitch if your midfield can't move the ball up the pitch. And Fred and McTominay just couldn't get the ball to our front, so you end up getting stuck. And we need better ball players in the midfield, and we need a centre back next to Maguire or Lindelof that will just take us higher up the pitch. And I think you can't just go and buy Leipzig centre back or bloody Leverkusen centre back. You've got to buy a Varane. You've got to buy a Koulibaly. You've got to buy somebody that is a leader and is at the top of their game, is going to say, right, we're going higher up the pitch. I've played at the highest level. Not messing about. I'm talking about a top class centre back. That's what we need, and we will do better then, because at the moment we struggle to break the teams down like Palace, that like Beth says, because we're set up to do well against better teams because they're going to attack us a bit and give us a bit of space. And we're deadly with space. But when a team sits back and sits in, like Ollie said, against Palace, every Palace player did their job, and you're going to struggle then. Well, you are going to struggle if you haven't got any creativity.
I think we've massively missed Pogba recently. He was in really good form until he got that injury. It's somebody in the midfield that can sit deep, spray passes, let Bruno do his thing. You know what Bruno's like? He sort of loses it a bit sometimes, doesn't he? He starts tracking back and that, and you don't want him in them positions. You want him further forward.
Go on, Rick. Can I just say that what Kevin's saying there without realising it is pretty similar to what I'm saying, because he's saying how much we miss Pogba, but we never play Pogba in the centre of the midfield. It's always McTominay and Fred. I know Pogba gets loads of games, but half the time it's on the right. Yeah. Or on the left. You know what I mean? He's not what Kevin said he wants Pogba to do, and we miss him. I mean, do we miss him? We hardly ever play him there. You know what I mean? So what Kevin's basically saying there is Pogba should be playing in one of those two roles, really, so that he can spray the ball forward. So maybe we've got it within our ranks to do that.
Pogba will be able to play in one of them roles when we get a top class CDM to go next to him in them games, because in them games Ollie plays McFred, because even yesterday, even though I thought attacking wise they weren't great, defensively they were absolutely sound, and they were one of the reasons why we kept a clean sheet. But if you put Pogba next to one of them on their own, I don't think that's quite defensive enough for what Ollie wants. He wants a CDM who's going to sit in, and then Pogba can do what he does. Kind of like, not the same, but how Rodri at City is quite disciplined in his role, and that's kind of what we need. We need someone who's going to sit, and then Pogba can do his thing. And until we get that top class CDM, Pogba's not going to start in the pivot in big games because Ollie just doesn't trust it.
Beto says Martial last night did really nothing different to what he's been doing all season, in my opinion. He's been doing all the stuff right, just unlucky scoring-wise, which is what you say, Ricky, a lot of the time, is that he hasn't been any worse than normal. He just hasn't been scoring. Sebastian says, would you take Lingard back, guys? Anyone taking Jesse back?
No.
No? Ricky? Beth?
Not better than Bruno, so what's the point?
Kev? Ruthless from Beth there. Kev?
Yeah, that was, wasn't it? And no, not for me. I think we spoke about this a while ago, and at the time I thought he needs that change. He needs a loan move. And do you know what? Fair play to the lad. It's working out for him.
Brilliant. I think this proves exactly why he needed a move. Yeah, true. There is a honeymoon period, but it also proves, look, if you get Jesse game time, and this isn't a disrespect to Jesse Lingard, but in a different sort of team with different aspirations, and he can be the main man, can get 90 minutes a game, put your arm around him and say, Jesse, you're going to play, you're our guy. You are going to see the better side of Jesse Lingard. I just think our squad kept moving forward at a pace that he couldn't quite keep up with for one reason or another. And it's brilliant that he's now playing and enjoying his football. Well,
Lingard needs to appreciate. So for me, it's about Lingard, because I don't trust Man United. I don't trust Man United on transfers. I pretty much think Woodward will be going, I ain't got to buy anyone. Get Lingard back. Jesse's got to respect himself and say, I'm better than sitting on the bench for Manchester United, because that's where you're going. If you come back, Jesse, he's got to go, No, I want to be in the England squad. I want to be the main man, like Flex says. I can play for West Ham every week and enjoy my football. I hope Jesse does that because there's 30 million quid coming our way if he does. But he might get sold on Woodward going, yeah, come back. You can find a way in the team. And obviously he loves United.
Surely not. Surely that won't happen.
Look at Alexis Sanchez, Mark. Solskjaer had a press conference and tried convincing us that Sanchez was coming back from Inter Milan and he'll be like a new player. Never did.
Yeah.
But they still spoon-fed us that to say, he's going to come back and he's going to be a big player. No, he was finished.
Colin says, my prediction is we will get an exciting player for 50 million in the summer, but it won't be what Ollie asks for. But the board will do it to please the fans. Yeah, you know those kind of fan-pleasing signings. Would pulling it out the bag to appease the fans. Who knows? SMJ says, would Haaland be a good signing if Pogba stays, though? Perhaps there is a chance of him staying if we invest in some star quality. Do you say to Paul Pogba, look, mate, we're going to go and get Haaland. This is the basically resell the project to Pogba? Are we going to have to do that?
The same project we've been reselling for the last 5 years.
Exactly. I think Pogba's smart enough to know what direction we are and aren't going in. Gabriel says, Ricky's right. You just need to drop one of McFred out and Donny van der Beek to assist Bruno and drop one of the centre-backs for Tuanzebe. We could generally be better next season. Do you know what, on that? Well, actually, I'll finish off the Super Chat first before the timeout. Sebastian says, so James is better than Lingard, ? Are we saying that?
Lingard's not a winger.
As a winger, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Jesse's
I
not
agree.
A winger.
Yeah, exactly. I think Jesse needs to play. I mean, he does play a lot on the left and the right now, but and sometimes he kind of can play across the whole front. But I agree, his best position is in number 10. So yeah, Dan James is a better winger than him. Brian says, I saw Ollie shouting on the touchline yesterday. I'm 100% that helped a lot. Ollie can do it if he does his in-game coaching, basically believing in Ollie there, which is a good thing. But on that about this super chat that's up there, basically saying bring in Van der Beek and Tuanzebe and we can do better. I'm just kind of bringing in the other side of the argument, maybe more towards Ricky to open up the conversation. We've lost 4 games all season. We are at the present time the best of the rest. Can we expect to be better than City without maybe signing a couple or tightening up in a few areas? Probably not. Liverpool had a bunch of injuries, but let's face it, they're only really without Van Dijk and Henderson at the moment, and maybe Gomez. But other than that, their front three still the same. They've got a lot of their players playing. Chelsea had to change their manager, and Ollie's kind of got us to a point that is second, and he's only lost 4 games. Are we over-analysing how much we need to sign, or is it completely justified in the discrepancies that we've seen us play where we're struggling? Is it because we need to sign better players, or the players just need to find consistency, whoever wants to take that?
As I said, I think we could have done better just with the squad we've got. And I don't think Dan James has played anywhere near enough. Nowhere near enough.
I think he's played too much.
And
why do you think that? Why do you think he's played too much?
But it's sort of, I'll let Ricky come back on it because I know he likes him. But for me, it's about what our standards are. And, it's like what you said there, Flex. We're the best of the rest. I want to be the best. I don't want to be the best of the rest. I want to be the best. And I look at that bench of Manchester City and I look at Torres, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Laporte on their bench yesterday. And I'm not saying they should have started because they already had a bloody good 11. And I saw Jose Mourinho take us to second 3 years ago. Am I meant to applaud Ollie taking us to second? Well, I'll applaud Ollie because it's his first time doing it, but I won't applaud this bloody board. They've been here like I have. They know we were here 3 years ago. What are you doing to take us to the next level? Because I'm not happy being the best of the rest. And on Dan James or McFred or Magaluf, one of those has got to go. They're not good enough for where we need to go. Like Fred's a bench player, I think. Lindelof's a bench player. I think McTominay's a bench player, and I'm not even sure Dan James is a bench player if you've got someone like Ahmad or whatever. So they're good lads, and they did a good job for us yesterday. But if you want to be Man City, they ain't good enough to start for Manchester United, in my opinion. I've got nothing against them. I thought they put a shift in FC. Great, put a shift in FC ain't going to win a title. We need better players, and that's the ruthlessness that I think this club needs. And I'm not kidded by another second best miles behind City.
Could we win a title, Rick, with the likes of Dan James, with the likes of Victor Lindelof, McTominay, Fred, the players that Mark's saying, nah, not for me. Could we win a title maybe under a different manager, or if Ollie plays the way that you think we should?
Could we win a title?
In this, the benchmark is City and Liverpool.
look, the thing is, the problem I've got is this. Obviously, you're talking about you want to sign this player, sign that player, sign the other player. Do you realise the points totals that City and Liverpool have got for the last couple of seasons? Look, obviously they've proved it's not impossible. But for us, when I say for us, for any club, no matter who you sign, it's almost unachievable. I know they've proved it is achievable, but it's a bit rich expecting your team to be able to, whoever your team is, to expect your team to be able to get 95, 96, 98 points. Did City get 100 points one season? It's a bit.
We're Man United, Ricky. We've got. That's what we've got to aim to do. That's what we've got to do.
I do agree. I do agree. You've got to aim. You've got to aim for the stars. Of course, you have. But let's say we took a new manager on. Would it be fair to say to a new manager and say we want you to get 98 points this season? Do you know what I mean? So I think we have got the squad good enough to win the league. If it's fairly normal season where the points total of high 80s might do it rather than having to need to get 96 or 98. And we could sign Messi and Ronaldo and not get 98 points.
Yeah, but
that's like Neymar saying I could win the Ballon d'Or if Messi and Ronaldo retired. You know, that's not going to happen, is it?
You can't just look. You've got to aim for it, but you're going to need those teams to slip a little bit. I mean, I don't know what are City on target for this season. I'm not sure. Are they looking like 95 points again? It won't surprise me. I mean, they're 11 points in front of us, aren't they? How many points have they got now? Check it.
They'll probably hit about late 80s.
City got 65 points.
65
yeah,
points, and they got
90,
10 games.
maybe 90. Yeah.
We'd have to win 10 games to get to 95 points. So they're going to get somewhere near 90. Well, I think we could get somewhere near 90 with the squad we've got.
Yeah, but if you look at their squad compared to ours,
it's better.
It's a lot better. And this season, they're going to reinvest again. And then they're going to be even further ahead of us. And obviously, I do think our coaching needs to improve. But even looking yesterday, you can see two CDMs that can't pass a ball. And that you can't teach that. You can just tell the quality's off. And if the quality improves in them positions, if it improves at centre-half where you can have a partnership where one's reliant on pace and you've got a right winger. We've not actually got an out-and-out right winger. That's a position we just don't have. City have about 3. So if you look at us in that respect, you're going to need to invest or else we'll just fall even further behind next season. And you can look at City and you think, yeah, they should be aiming to get 88 points. But if you look at the difference between our team and theirs, of course, we're going to be a bit further behind because we don't have as many star players in the positions that they do. They have basically 2 fully strong starting 11s.
Beth, your team has got to gel well together. It's got to be a team.
I understand that. If you've got better players, it's off.
Just in as much, I mean, I don't even know what the value of the 2 squads are that I'm going to name now. It's probably a fraction of what our squad's worth. West Ham and Everton. They're both within 6, 7, 8 points of us, aren't they? You know what I mean? So what's the value of their squads compared to ours? I believe with our squad, we should be nearer to City than we are.
But is this what when I bring it up to you, Ricky? Though, remember when we was talking about a lot of individual players, and I was saying we got to start looking at this coach stuff. We've got to start looking at, is Solskjaer getting the best out of the crop of what we have, and if he does have better players, would he get the best out of them? Is he at the level to outdo Guardiola and Klopp? And I don't mean in one-off games like he has done, like he schooled Pep last night. That's great. I'm here for all of that energy. But I'm talking about over 38 games, different types of games that come at you thick and fast. A team sitting back, camping in, not giving you any green grass to run into. A team that comes at you. A team that does a bit of both. A team that's high energy. A team that's not. That's where isn't what some of you are saying, where you got other managers basically with squads that aren't as good as ours and they're only 6 points off. Does that not allude to actually, well, then is the manager not, culpable for that then with the way we play and how we're setting up?
Like I just said, we could have done better this season. Dan James hasn't played enough. You might not like Dan James, but he's twice the winger Mason Greenwood is, and Mason Greenwood's probably had 3 times the game time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Dan James is actually playing for us on a regular basis shows the lack of in the squad. I generally do think that. It just shows because you can't tell me that with Laporte, Diaz, Stones, and then with the amount of players you have in the midfield, Gundogan, Rodri, all that, you can't tell me that we should be on par with City with our squad that we've got compared to theirs. I think it's it's an impossible job that to be on par with them, the quality of the squads.
Well, should West Ham be on a par with us with their squad?
Yeah, but it's a different season this season. That won't. I mean, I hope it does continue to happen, but I think next season after the reinvestments, I mean, Chelsea have had a change of manager. Their squad's looking really good now. City are going to invest. Liverpool are going to have to back Klopp because of the situation they're in. I don't think this is going to repeat itself next year. I really don't. And I think if we don't reinvest, we'll end up falling behind.
I've mentioned West Ham and I've mentioned Everton, and I've only just thought of Leicester. I mean, how much is Leicester?
Well, again, you're looking at the manager. This is what I mean.
How much is
director of football?
If Leicester can be neck and neck with us, which they were last season until the last day, and they are now, if Leicester can be there, why can't we be with City?
Kev, we'll bring you in on that, right? Let me ask you this question, then, Kev, because I feel like a lot of kind of what Ricky's saying is like, how are teams with worse players than us near us with the players we got, and then transferring that into, well, if City are doing that, why can't we catch them? Let me ask you this. If Pep had the squad that Ollie had, would he win the league with that team? And if Ollie had Pep's team, would he win the league with that City team?
I would have to say no.
To which one?
Just leave me alone. It's no.
Yeah.
It's a
I
politician.
told you I'm hungover from yesterday. I was celebrating. My head's up my arse. Do I think that Solskjaer could win the league with that Man City team?
With that Man City team right now, if Solskjaer was the manager next season, they didn't buy one player, would Solskjaer win the league?
No.
Why not?
I think it comes down to his management and his style of play. I think Pep Guardiola, if he took over at United, it's inevitable that over a certain amount of time, you will see a transition and change in the way that Manchester United played football. There's a philosophy, there's a direction. You've seen it at Barcelona, that great team that he built, Bayern Munich, and now Manchester City, and they play great football.
Would he win the league though with the squad we currently have?
Just I tell you what he would do, Kev. He'd play. He wouldn't play McFred. He'd play Van der Beek, Pogba, and Bruno. He'd find a way to get players like that and Mata in the team, and we'd play a totally different way of football.
I don't even possibly even play Pogba. I don't know if he's even his type of player. It's the way different managers play though. I think if you put Van der Beek in that City team, he's going to play a lot of games because it's exactly Pep's style. Whereas, for example, I don't personally think that players like, I don't know, Pogba, maybe Martial, even though they're very talented players, previously on form-wise, I don't know if they've got the play style that particularly Pep likes. Like, he likes a lot of energy, a lot of work rate, and I don't know if they would provide that for him. He doesn't like, for example, star players in his team, does he? He likes everything to kind of work as a unit. So every manager has different styles, and you could say that, but the thing is though, if Pep came in and managed that United side, he wouldn't want the players he's got. He'd want to make his own adjustments, so it'd take time. Either way, I don't think either one would do it because they're both.
Well, he needs a board, doesn't he? He needs a board where he can go. Where he went, Keylor Navas. Nah, mate, spent money on him. Shit, give me someone else. Stones. Nah, bought him for 50 million. Don't like him. Laporte. Oh, Laporte. Actually, yeah, he's doing all right. But give me Diaz. Like he needs that kind of open checkbook and flexibility, which obviously under our regime he wouldn't get. But hypothetically speaking, I just thought it was really interesting the fact that Ricky was saying that other teams who aren't as good as us are doing better. And
I'd like to see what a Pep and Klopp
would do with this.
Would do with United.
Would they get better than second? That's the question. But then in Ollie's defence, would they get better than second against their own Liverpool teams and Man City teams? And you take Liverpool with a pinch of salt, assuming they're back to their best. Would those two get higher than second with our team, as it is with McFred, with Maguire and Lindelof, with Martial out front, with Rashford on the left, with Dan James on the right, Greenwood? What would they? I don't think they would.
Well, they wouldn't play.
You need to really ask a question and say, how many of these Manchester United players has Solskjaer actually improved? Now, besides Luke Shaw, who's having the season of his life, you sort of struggle to think, has he, when we think of the Pochettino rumours, right, that he was a manager that was at Tottenham, had very little to spend, but by God, from looking on from the outside, inside at Tottenham, how many players did he actually improve just purely through coaching? There was a lot of players at Tottenham, weren't there, that all up the game. He had a strong starting 11, not a great squad, didn't spend much money. But again, at United, you know, is there many players that have actually flourished under Solskjaer?
I think that's a great point, I think it's a great point. And I think, you know what, the problem is, I think if you'd asked me this last season, I would have said Martial's turned into a brilliant number 9. Greenwood's having a great season. Fred has come on leaps and bounds. Luke Shaw, like Kev says. So I've got 4 straight away there.
Rashford was hitting good numbers last year.
I disagree with Ollie. I don't think we're individually. I think some of our players are not as good as they were last year, but we are getting better. We have got more points, which is weird because I think a lot of players this year.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean about like in defense of Ollie. Like we've got more points than we did this year than we did last year. We've scored more goals. Okay, yes, that's at the expense of conceding more. I understand that, but this is not me just trying to be a Glazer lover. I'm just looking at the facts and bringing it to the table, right? Last year, when the defence didn't concede as much, I remember stats last year saying we had one of the best defences in Europe because we didn't concede that many. And we were like, yeah, you know what? He's finished 3rd. We wasn't. In certain games he was, but our defensive record was better. We was like, we need to tweak this. We've got to go and get Sancho. Sancho's the priority. Get the right winger. We didn't get the right winger. Then we slowly realised we needed a centre back, and then it was an underwhelming summer. Don't get me wrong. Then we've gone at the beginning of the season. That was such a shit transfer window. The best, we're going to be scrapping for 4th again at best. Then we find ourselves at the top of the league in January, and we find ourselves second in the league, only have lost 4 games. Ollie's entitled to go, you lot, piss off. What do you want me to do with this? Give me more players that I need to tweak and let me go again. I know we don't want to be the best of the rest, but with what I've got, is he entitled to say, this is the question, is he entitled to say, well, if you tell me anyone else that can get more out of this right now without needing a little bit extra. Plus, it's actually, I know we went out of the Champions League, leave that aside, but actually we've got more points. In the league is your bread and butter. That's where you're judged on. You can go on a good cup run or a bad cup run each year, but your league and challenging and being up the top is where you want to be. Is he entitled to say, I'm better points off than I was last year? And, you know, we haven't lost an away game in 22 games, 21 games, whatever it is, and we've only lost four games, and I'm second. Did you really expect me to win the league this year? Is he entitled to say that?
He's entitled to say it, but Mourinho was saying exactly the same thing 3 years ago. That's the worrying thing that people will say. Exactly the same thing. The football wasn't great, but we were second in the league, and he was like, you know, this is my best finish ever. I think that's why people are a bit concerned. But Ollie will get a new contract, and he does deserve it. That's my answer.
Fair enough. And moving on, smash a like on the video. Remember, the video is brought to you by United Stand Picks. The link is in the video description below. Your chance to win your share of £1,000. Massive game against AC Milan coming up. We're doing it for every single United game going forward. After last night's win, guys, look, we're all over the moon. But a lot of what I noticed coming out was the Dean Henderson situation coming up again. Now, Dean Henderson was comfortable yesterday. Didn't have loads to do, but what he did, obviously threw the ball out to Shaw. Great quick thinking there. I think he came for a cross that was okay, you know, playing it out. He done a couple of rush clearances, but did he make a save? Might have made one save from Zinchenko, which was fairly routine.
Long distance, weren't they?
Fairly routine. So it wasn't like it was, you know, David De Gea saving with the feet, backs against the wall. What a strike. How did he save that? But people were doing the whole, this is why Dean Henderson is the guy. Clean
8
sheet.
out of 10 from Manchester Evening News. Graham Souness up your arse, you know.
Graham Souness, lots of brown nosing going on. De Gea's, you know, enjoying his little bit of paternity leave, and he's gonna, God knows what he's gonna come back to. Beth, we'll start with you, and we'll go around the room. Are you buying this Dean Henderson stuff? Do you want to wait a bit with him? Do you want to wait to the summer? What's your thoughts?
See, I'm probably in the minority here because I actually would like to see Dean Henderson progress into number 1 spot. I really would. And it's
you're in the majority, mate. You're in the majority, I think.
Yeah.
The thing is about Henderson, it's nothing to do with English bias before people get started on that. It's nothing to do with that. I think he's been a great servant to the club, De Gea, and honestly, like, if you could play 2 goalkeepers, I wish you could do that because I do think he's a good goalkeeper. But Dean Henderson is too good to be our second choice keeper next year. He's 23, he's up and coming, and he's just got attributes for me that I think can make him be the number 1 at United. He puts faith in his defenders, massive faith in his defenders, I think. I think he's so assured when he comes to collect his crosses in the box and collect the ball. I think he's good at his distribution. I think he fills the net really, really, really well. And I just think he seems a lot more confident in net. And I know De Gea has had a good season this season, don't get me wrong. But can you afford to let Dean Henderson go with all this ability and then De Gea go through one of his poor spells again? I don't want to risk that. And I do think it's nearly time for Henderson to take the step up and become United's number one, because so far when I've seen him, don't get me wrong, he's not had that much to do, as much as I'd like to see to make me assured in my decision. But from what I've seen, he's been great. And from what I've seen at Sheffield United as well, I generally think he is ready to make the step up. He's confident, he's loud, and he's just what I think you need in a modern day keeper.
Kev, are we as United fans operating off more of a money in the bank scheme in terms of, because De Gea saved our ass, when we've been down in the dumps, like Beth was saying there, he's been a great servant to the club. The people that want David De Gea to remain as number one, are they? And you might be one of them. I don't know. I'm just asking you a question. Are they in the camp of like they just don't want to see any change and they're just kind of giving him the credit in the bank, or is it because no, he's just still the better keeper?
If you were asking me who I would choose, if De Gea comes back into that team, he's in at the weekend for me. He's my number one keeper. What I will say is, I get the feeling and I can sense that there is the changing of the guard at Man United. Dean Henderson strikes me as the kind of person, when you hear what's going on behind the scenes, he thinks he's better than David De Gea. And I think he's openly said that. And I like that. You've got to have...
It's got some big corners.
Exactly. You've got to have big balls to come back to Manchester United from Sheffield United, which he was fantastic there. But to come back and say, I'm going to fight David De Gea, who's been one of the best keepers in world football, for his first team number one jersey, and to actually believe that you're better than him, it takes utter confidence. And I think Solskjaer's got a big decision to make this summer. I can see De Gea leaving, and I can see Henderson taking the number one spot. I think his communication with the back four is one of the key things. It's the one thing that I think lets De Gea down. Vocally, he's not really a leader. He should be barking instructions out, whereas Dean Henderson, everything seems to flow better when he's at the back. And that, like you say, that throw yesterday for Luke Shaw was just Schmeichel-esque, wasn't it? It's very rare you see.
Yeah, Rick. We'll come to Mark on this. I know his stance is. So I kind of want everyone to just be Team Henderson before I get to Mark. Actually, Rick, what say you? Because I know you're not quite a sensationalist in terms of new toys and going out and buying it. You've already said with the team that we already have, we can do X, Y, Z. So it's not quite buying a new keeper, but should Henderson be looking to replace David De Gea now into a new era, a new look Man United? Or for you, David De Gea is fine after that bad run of form he's had in the past seasons?
A lot of coaches will say that it's not about the saves that they make or worldy saves. It's about having a presence about you and about the confidence that you instill in the defenders around you, which can spread through the team. And in that regard, I've been impressed with Henderson the last couple of games. It's only a couple of games, though. What I'd love to see, and I don't know is there any news yet about when David De Gea's back?
Not exactly, but I think it's at least to probably the international break, I should imagine.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We've got AC Milan twice, we've got West Ham, and we've got Leicester. That'll make his run again 6 if he plays all of those.
Yeah.
If I was the gaffer, I'd be playing him in those 4 games, and then let's have another look at it. He will have played 6 games in a row then, and let's just see how that goes. But certainly, let's put it this way: if you was to say to me now, David De Gea is not coming back, we're stuck with Dean Henderson, I won't be crying in my tea, so to speak.
Mark Goldbridge, I know that you're an avid supporter of David De Gea, and at times you're like, well, Henderson, you're coming in here from Sheffield United. You haven't proved anything at United. Yeah, you've come through the ranks and stuff, but what have you done here? David De Gea is the number one. If you don't like it, then maybe you should leave. How do you feel about the situation the more you look at it and the more importantly, you look at Dean Henderson's performances?
On a level, I don't want to say anything negative about Dean Henderson because I do like him. And I actually, what angers me the most is what was angering me a couple of weeks ago is that it's such an obvious bias in the media that it makes me even more defensive of De Gea, because I've seen this with Pogba, I've seen it with Martial, and I've seen it with Bruno. There are certain people in journalism and in the mainstream media who blatantly have got it in for foreign players. So I do feel defensive of David De Gea because of that. And I do like Dean Henderson, but ultimately Beth's right. You can only pick one of them and there is a decision to be made, like Kev said. So the decision needs to be made on a fair basis. I think people like Harry Maguire want Dean Henderson in goal because it covers them. I think if a new goalkeeper comes in and it's almost like, well, David De Gea was the problem. And I don't think that David De Gea was man of the match against Chelsea. I think that a decision does need to be made. I think there is a bit of a shiny new toy syndrome where, Dean Henderson's the new one and we want him. And I'm just like, I love my club. I love what it stands for. David De Gea is not 38. He's 30. I think of all the great things David De Gea has done. And I think, would I have got rid of Wayne Rooney at 28? Would I have got rid of Ryan Giggs at 31? No, I wouldn't. He's a United great. Not a legend, but he is a United great and he will go down at it. He's won our Player of the Year, 3 or 4 times in the last 8 years, which have been shit. I think people owe David De Gea a little bit of loyalty. I don't think people are talking like David De Gea is playing shit. He's washed, yeah. He's been good this season. And I tell you what, it just makes me laugh when people are giving Dean Henderson almost man of the match scores because he threw a ball to Luke Shaw and he caught the ball a couple of times. I didn't see anything yesterday, didn't do anything wrong. He had a good game. There's a decision to be made, but I think certain aspects of the media are trying to make it a very obvious decision, and it's not. It's a tough decision, and that's all I'm saying. It's a tough decision. I'm De Gea, but I like Dean Henderson. But the media are trying to make it, Roy Keane's doing it. Like, it's bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Do we need to be careful that actually it doesn't do the reverse to David De Gea? And then we're like, well, we've got a player who we've just given a contract extension to, made him the highest paid player at the club, and then he actually wants to leave anyway and says, all right, well, go on then, put the young kid in. Send me to Real Madrid.
It's not a good thing. That's what I would say. It's not a good thing, which is why I'm not going to say anything bad about Dean Henderson, because ultimately, Ricky's right.
He's going to be number one.
Well, he might be our goalkeeper for the next 5 games. Or Ollie might do it the other way around. He might say, David, I'm actually going to use Dean in the Premier League games and you in the cup games. But what Ollie better do is when David De Gea comes back, he was man of the match against Chelsea, he's gone to see his kid be born, he better not go and say, you're not playing any games now, because David De Gea was our number one, and he's had to share the cup games with Dean, so they need to keep sharing it till the summer. Ollie needs to keep a backbone and keep it shared, and then the summer he's got to make a decision. I don't want to see any of this bollocks that David De Gea now sits on the bench every game, because that's not what's been happening this season, and I think De Gea could have said, hold on a minute, I'm the number one. Why am I sharing the cup games? And he hasn't. So Ollie needs to share it out and make a decision. We can't have them both next year. That'd be the worst thing we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. We're nearly end of the show, guys. Last quick thing. I just want to get people's thoughts on this. It's going to be a big week. Big week. It seems like we say that almost every week coming up at Man United. Every single game is. But Rick, how you feeling about the AC Milan game?
Man United versus AC Milan should be in the Champions League, not the Europa League. That's the first thing.
For sure.
I can remember far enough back that I used to dream about being able to play AC Milan, and then we sort of overtook them, and now we've both sunk a bit.
Both fallen, mate. Both fallen.
But I'm really looking forward to it. 2 of the biggest clubs on the planet playing in a European game at the end of the day. I know they're second in Serie A, so they're going to be. I haven't watched them much. I've got Inter Milan on now. They just scored.
Wants to bring Lukaku and Sanchez and Young back, don't you?
I don't watch AC Milan's games very much, but it's obviously going to be a tough game. They're going to be decent, aren't they? Without a doubt.
Beth, you confident?
I definitely think we can win. They've not got Ibra in the first game, have they?
Apparently not. But could be mind games. You never know.
And I think both teams are good teams, and as Ricky said, it should be a Champions League game probably, and we probably have got one of the toughest draws. But I do think with our team, we should be looking to definitely win that draw.
Kev?
Yeah, just touching on what Ricky says. Really, it's an iconic team, isn't it? AC Milan. I've been to the San Siro. I think they dicked us 3-0 in the Champions League years ago. That was great. But it's an iconic stadium, isn't it? You always remember World Cup '90. Always sticks out in my head that the San Siro and that. But yeah, it should be fitting of a Champions League game. But it's just a sign of times at the minute. But I'm confident, especially after that yesterday. It just restored your
big
faith.
Boost, isn't it? Yeah, big boost. I agree in terms of the confidence levels. I couldn't see how we were going to find that result yesterday. I really couldn't. I said to Mark before the show, I was just after Palace, just looking at the players. I thought they look out on their feet. Where is it going to come from? Mark, to finish off, I know you're going to be doing previews for it as we get closer, but your initial feelings as we are.
I think we'll be comfortable. I think the Italian league is slow. I love it, but it's slow. And this is an Italian team that had Tomori and Delo in its back four yesterday. Chelsea reject and a United reject. So yeah,
I don't. Famous last words. That
I don't think we'll struggle. I don't. We'll be fine. I'm more worried about West Ham actually. I think West Ham next Sunday is a tough game. In fact, interestingly enough, West Ham are winning 2-0. If they win, they've got a game in hand on us. If they beat us and win their game in hand, they've got the same points as us.
There you go. That's what I mean about where we are in the league and still having to look over our shoulder. But then again, on the flip side, if we go and do our business and take care of West Ham, it again pushes them further away, and we can solidify our top four status because we're not going to win the league. Guys, listen, great show, guys. Thanks everyone for joining us. Some real great topics, some real good talking points as well. Make sure you guys smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and remember the video is brought to you by United Stand Picks as well. The link is in the video description. Make sure you guys check that out. Your chance to win your share of £1,000. A lot of questions to ask, things like how many tackles is Wan-Bissaka going to get? How fast? What is the speedometer going to reach at Dan James at full pelt? Things like that.
Meep.
So check it out, guys, and listen, we will see you guys. We've got loads coming up this week. We've got press and reactions. We've got the build-up. Mark, when's that going to be? Wednesday? You're going to do the build-up to the game as well.
It's Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, Thursday. So we'll have the presser stuff on Wednesday, and obviously Thursday for the big one, fan cams, match reactions, and fan forums. Guys, take care. We are out.